Today's movie has it all. Jeffrey Combs, Barbara Crampton, and a murderous mutant. I mean, what more could you ask for? Welcome to Sick Flicks, where I take a deep dive into the cinematic sewer to help you embrace your inner gore geek. I'm Mike Bracken, aka The Horror Geek, and today we're taking a trip to Stuart Gordon's Castle Freak. Released in 1995, the backstory of Castle Freak's creation is really one of the most interesting things about it. Gordon made the film for Full Moon's Charles Band for a measly $500K. When he agreed to do the project, all there was a title, Castle Freak, and a stipulation that the film needed a castle, which was Band's Italian mansion, and a freak. Everything else was up to Gordon. Reuniting with regulars Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton, Gordon gives us an entertaining little film that never quite found the audience it deserved. But enough about that. Can Castle Freak deliver enough murderous mayhem to earn the coveted 5 Barf Bag rating? Let's get to the gore and find out. Oh, and before we get started, today's video is sponsored by patrons Bo Salzman, Stephen Bentley, and Jay Sun. If you'd like to sponsor some videos and free me from the ever-tightening shackles of YouTube's tyranny, you'll find a link to my Patreon in the pinned comment and description below. Seriously, patron support has been vital to keeping the show going this year with all the community guidelines and copyright nonsense I deal with. And now, let's get bloody. We fade in on someone pouring a dairy product into a bowl. They're definitely not milking things with a long credit sequence. Oh look, it's the crazy cat lady from The Simpsons. It's nice to see her branch out into other roles. Sweet, she's got her very own underground bunker. I bet it's full of cats too. And I guess we're just gonna walk here in real time. I retract my earlier comment about Castle Freak not milking things. So this is why they called it Castle Freak. Crazy cat lady is kinky. God damn, she's whipping it like she's an honorary member of Devo. Unfortunately, all this whipping wears Granny to saw it out. She's not looking good. I mean, she's going straight to bed. You could say she's feeling pretty whipped. And she's dead. $20 says the cat's gonna eat her face later. Cue credits. Full Moon Entertainment presents. You know we're in for quality now. Castle Freak? I'm pretty sure that's where they held last year's exotic erotic ball. It is nice to see Stuart Gordon branch out into a Shirley Jackson adaptation instead of his usual Lovecraft and whatnot. We Have Always Lived in the Castle Freak is probably my favorite story of hers. Here's Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton making yet another Sick Flicks appearance. All these Italian names, I'm starting to think I might have wandered into a Joe D'Amato movie. Casting by Robert McDonald and Perry Bullington. That sounds more like a law office than a casting agency. At McDonald and Bullington will get you the accident settlement you deserve. Or cast your movie. We're flexible. Makeup effects by Optic Nerve. That was Face Off host Glenn Heatrick's company. And Stuart Gordon and Dennis Paoli reunite for another project. They give us Reanimator, so I'm always up for their collaborations. With the credits finished, we drive on over to the actual movie. I hope we get there soon. Well, looks like we're getting close because we just found our first castle establishing shot. That's a good sign. We also get some exposition here. Combs and Crampton have inherited this castle. I guess this is one time that Nigerian prince email scam finally paid off. Also, I feel like this is foreshadowing because my guess is Combs and Crampton definitely have some baggage. And we get some more exposition on the way in.
Daddy, I think he's saying that you're the Duke.
I love Jeffrey Combs, but he's no John Wayne. Say what you will, but there's definitely a design aesthetic at work here. Interior decorating by Hieronymus Bosch, apparently. Seriously, weirdest episode of House Hunters ever. The good news is they won't have to clean this castle themselves. It comes with a maid. And she looks pleasant. Crampton's already pulling boss lady moves, too. Scrub the floors with vinegar and water, not that fabuloso shit. Turns out she just needs a separate room. Apparently, Combs hasn't been able to reanimate the passion in their marriage. Look at Combs. That's the face of a man who's about to become the subject of a country western song. I'm glad his daughter is blind so she can't see him getting emasculated. Now that we know he's a full beta, even the housekeeper is bossing him around.
You sell, and then you go. Soon.
Undaunted, Combs is going to try to reclaim his manhood and make his move.
I miss you so much.
And get shut down. They're going to have it out, but Crampton's like, shut up, our daughter's blind, not deaf. Man, the only thing more crumbling than this castle is their marriage. Maybe it's a metaphor. Then it's time for a flashback. We learn why the Combs-Crampton union is on the rocks. They're short a kid thanks to Combs' terrible driving. And now it's time for football practice. It was raining in his nightmare, so I suppose technically that makes it a wet dream. And apparently they don't even have lights in this dump. Or Gordon just couldn't afford any because Castle Freak was made for like a paltry $500,000. And I don't want to alarm Combs, but it sounds like Simon Boswell might be squatting in his basement while he works on the main theme from Stage Fright. Man, that's a deep-cut joke even for this show. Unfortunately, there are no lights down here either. But he does find this spot. Oh, sweet, this will be the perfect man cave to continue my experiments resurrecting the dead. God, I inherited this gothic Italian castle, and all that's in the wine cellar is cheap bottles of Reunite and Mad Dog. I'm gonna be honest, he probably shouldn't whine about it, though. And castle establishing shot. Just in case you forgot, we were in the castle. Inside, Combs may not be having any luck hooking up with Barbara Crampton, but the housekeeper looks like she might be interested. But first, it's time for some more exposition. The gist of all this jibber-jabber is the Duchess of the castle got dumped by her American husband and their kid died when he was 5. Gee, I wonder if she was the crazy old cat lady at the start of the movie. But wait, it gets worse.
She took revenge and killed his son.
Jesus.
And daytime castle establishing shot. We never left the castle, but you know. Inside, I can't believe it's not Jennifer Connelly is learning Italian. She should just be like me and learn all of her Italian from Joe D'Amato. Then Combs shows up and is like, let me show you around the place. Oh, damn it, my bad. And so far, they probably should have just called this movie Castle Dark. Not a lot of freaks, but plenty of poorly lit scenes. Combs ditches his daughter on the bed. Just stay here.
While I look around for booty. Hell yeah.
No, not like that, you pervs. I mean, I know Babs isn't hooking up with him, but he means stuff to sell. Then he makes a startling discovery.
Oh, it looks like somebody lived in this room.
Yeah, that is pretty weird for a horror movie. Then he makes an even more startling discovery. The Duchess liked it rough. Or she was a big Babyface fan. There's definitely some whip appeal happening here. And really, it makes sense that the crazy cat lady would own a cat of 9 tails if you think about it. Then he finds this wardrobe. Sweet, I bet this goes straight to Narnia. But unfortunately, it's just full of granny panties. Oh, and this old photo album filled with pictures from the Overlook Hotel. I bet Jack Nicholson is in some of these. Then Dollar General Jennifer Connelly asks this.
Do you hear anything like scratching?
Combs is like, oh, that's just Terminator X getting ready for the next Public Enemy tour. He speaks with his hands, you know. She's not into good hip-hop apparently, so she heads off to pet her kitty.
Hell yeah.
No, you pervs, I mean this cat. Jesus. And like most cats, this one is a jerk who leads her to her doom. Have a nice trip. See you next fall. And almost 30 minutes into the movie, it looks like she's finally found the freak part of the title. Dude should probably see a dentist. She heads off, but it looks like old Morris here is about to run out of his 9 lives. Literally. And our freak should probably see a manicurist too. He's feeling a little peckish after the cat, so he gnaws on some finger food. Hey, look, he's free of the shackles of Prude Tube's tyranny. I hope that's me someday. This dude looks a lot like the weird monster thing in Martyrs, if we're being honest. Freed, our monster immediately heads to the nearest mirror. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest? Oh, Jesus. And that's 7 years bad luck. Except how could his luck be any worse after being chained to a wall in a dungeon for years? Then it's time for a blue filter castle establishing shot. My favorite kind. Oh, great, our freak is a creeper, too. But before things can get too weird, Five Below Jennifer Connelly realizes it's time for football practice. The monster flees and Combs heads off to investigate like an alpha male. And he eventually finds the cell. Turns out this is a real grave development. I'm no parapsychologist, but if horror movies have taught me anything, it's that burying people in your basement never ends well. Turns out the grave belongs to little Giorgio. Thank God it's not Giovanni Frezza. And the next day, the cops show up. And I guess we're watching this scene from like a traffic copter's perspective or something. Let's just roll with it. Jesus, look at Crampton's pants. She's like, pleats to meet you, officer. Even the pleats have pleats. And as is horror film tradition, the cops are absolutely no help at all.
But you won't know that for certain till you search the place, right?
Castel Orsino has more than 150 rooms.
With that a dead end, Combs and Crampton decide to rekindle their romance over some grave rubbings. How romantic. The only thing deader than these corpses is their marriage. Well, maybe not. Combs isn't above using the grieving dad gambit, but he gets shut down again.
Stop it! You're acting like a child.
And then he tries this crazy approach.
But listen to me. His spirit, his ghost, was here.
What do you think about that development, Lance Henriksen?
That's the stupidest fucking thing I ever heard.
And after a rousing round of the blame game, Combs runs off to work on his reagent. I can bring JJ back from the dead. Just you wait, Babs. And now it's basically a Far Side video. It's the original Stairmaster. I think it's good he's really embracing the cardio. It'll help offset all the empty carbs of his alcoholism. And now he's pretty high. You know, because he's on the roof. I thought he might go all Van Halen and jump, but nope, we've still got half a movie left. This film might want you to think it's Italian, but it's clearly an American production because they're pouring some J and D and not J and B. Of all the gin joints and all the towns and all of the world, church establishing shot. Everyone Hail Mary. And now Combs is getting picked up by the local talent. Look, lady, I'm not as think as you drunk I am. They head back to his wine cellar, and man, this new version of Arthur is weird. Do you kids even remember Arthur? Christ, I'm old. Then he gives her a golden shower.
Hell yeah.
No, not like that. I mean, he dumps some white wine on her. And now, maybe we'll get to the Castle Freaky part of this movie. I sure hope Babs doesn't have a sudden hankering for a Zinfandel. Oh man, it really is gonna get Castle Freaky because here comes budget Luigi Montefiore. Turns out he just likes to watch. Honestly, this is the worst sex ed video ever. Apparently, Combs had no idea she was a working girl.
What?
100,000.
I think he's the only person who didn't make the connection. I mean, she's not here for your rugged good looks, Jeff. Dejected, Combs turns to his old friend, the bottle. Oh, sweet alcohol, you'll always love me, won't you? Meanwhile, our escort is about to get escorted to her death scene. But before we get there, the Ghost of Christmas Past is like, hey, quit bogarting all the J&B, Combs. Our Lady of the Night, meanwhile, doesn't get a taste of Pimp Hand, which would have been fitting, but instead gets sheet-faced. If you're feeling bummed by that lack of Pimp Hand, don't worry. The next morning, Bab delivers an epic one right to Combs' face. The escort, meanwhile, wakes up shackled in the basement. Or in other words, it's just another Tuesday for her. At any rate, our freak might be taking the whole old ball and chain thing way too literally. She was gonna work her way out of this, but surprise, he's less of a man than he used to be, if you catch my drift. No way we can show that. And here it kinda looks like the Iron Sheik is setting her up for the chokeslam. Man, my JR still sucks. And we get a boob bite that rivals the one in Burial Ground. He's not gonna nipple on it, he's eating the whole thing. And yeah, I can't show you that. YouTube hates boobs. It is wild that this dungeon is basically just right down a few stairs in the castle, but no one hears any of this. Combs, meanwhile, is off seeing Mario the plumber, who apparently got a law degree at some point. It's a Mario, attorney at law. And now the movie is just gonna be in Italian, I guess. I mean, I know the budget was limited, but I think we could have splurged for subtitles here. Apparently, Mario's getting a call from Stuart Gordon. Hey, it's Stuart. Could you maybe up the Italian stereotype level a little, Mario? Maybe eat a pizza or something? Oh yeah, this is what I'm getting at. The old I'm gonna make you an offer you can't refuse look. Combs catches on quick, too.
That's blackmail. You bastard.
Cut. Show him how to deliver that line, Linda Day George. Bastard! Bastard! Then we stop for some exposition that ends with this big reveal.
Your father was never married to your mother, so you, Giovanni, are the bastard.
Linda, could you show them again? They still haven't gotten it. Bastard! Bastard! Back at the castle, this movie is finally living up to its title. That's pretty freaky. And the maid finds the dead escort. Great, now I gotta clean up this mess too? Except she's not actually dead. And while she's distracted, our killer chops her down like he's Paul Bunyan. Man, I haven't seen a chain match this brutal since Nikita Koloff fought Sting at the Great American Bash. At any rate, they're gonna need a new housekeeper. Back upstairs, Babs has had enough. She's moving out, like that Billy Joel song. But if you were worried Combs was gonna struggle to pay the mortgage without a roommate to help with the costs, don't. He's got new roommates lined up. It's the Police. I love their music. Synchronicity 2 is my jam. Combs, meanwhile, is going to get to the bottom of things, so he grabs this shovel. The Police, meanwhile, aren't letting Babs and her daughter leave until they tell them what they've seen, so they could be here for a while. You know, because the daughter's blind. And since Combs is already wanted for murder, I guess it's no big deal he's desecrating a grave, too. Dude's racking up felonies like this is Grand Theft Auto. But maybe he can plead to a lesser charge because this casket is empty. The police, however, are unmoved by these new developments. He's busy pleading his case. The cops find some bodies. I'm already straddling the demonetization line on this one, so just take my word for it. But I can show you this castle establishing shot. That night, our freak is back in action. He's Ted Lasso'd this cop with his fancy chain. Back at the station, we get a patented Jeffrey Combs freakout. I love those.
I keep telling you over and over and over again, I didn't kill her!
But hey, let's lower the temperature a bit with a nighttime castle establishing shot. I feel like we're definitely getting our money's worth in terms of castle establishing shots today. Inside, Officer Lech Walesa goes for a drink, but he finds what appears to be a body. Man, there's not another horror show in the universe that makes a Lech Walesa reference there. I'm a gift. Except it's not a body. If you guess this is Castle Freak, give yourself a screenwriter's credit. Babs heads out to find out what's going on, but she just backs right into this jump scare. Now things are really getting Castle Freaky. I don't even know how the fuck we got here. At any rate, I don't think this is what they meant by blind date. Over at the station, the interrogation is not going well. Combs gets a heapin' helping of Pimp Club. By God, the big boss man just clobbered him with his Pimp Club. Combs then returns the favor. You know the rules. If it's your first night at Pimp Club, you have to club someone. Back in the dungeon, we get a good look at the freak. Yeah, definitely gonna need an orthodontist. But hey, at least he and not Jennifer Connelly can share a touching moment. Look, I just need you to lend me an ear. But before things can get too crazy, Bab shows up with a counteroffer.
Take me!
And he takes her up on it. She shows him a real slice time. They make a break for it, but this guy's a major pain in the glass. I will say it's wild that we're in the climax of this movie and there's no Jeffrey Combs here. Did they just give him the day off or what? Everyone eventually winds up on the roof when Combs finally arrives. Nice of you to join us, Jeff. And in a totally logical move, they decide to duke it out on the wet tile roof. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Combs goes all John McClane here. I'm gonna fucking kill you, then I'm gonna cook you, then I'm gonna eat you. Our freak counters with the whip, and this might be my favorite version of the Stones when the whip comes down. Mick is looking rough here, though. Combs isn't done, though, because this is the main event chain match. And they both go over the top rope. Double DQ, but what a finish. Almost as good as New Jack tossing Vic Grimes off that scaffold. After expressing their love, Combs shuffles off to that great lab in the sky. Maybe Babs can find his reagent in the wine cellar and bring him back. And roll credits. So, what have we learned today? If you give Stuart Gordon a title, $500K, Jeffrey Combs, and Barbara Crampton, he'll give you a good movie in return. It's hard to believe that Gordon and team made this one work, but it does. It's not perfect, but it's definitely another solid entry in the late director's body of work. But enough about that. Can Castle Freak improvise its way to a 5 Barf Bag rating? Let's go to the gore card! In terms of gross anatomy, Castle Freak delivers. We're treated to numerous body parts, 1 breast reduction, chain whippings, and the gruesome freak makeup. All in all, there's enough here to give Castle Freak a 4 Barf Bag rating. This is definitely a sick little flick that flew under a lot of people's radars. Looking for more Combs and Crampton? Then be sure to check out my review of From Beyond. You'll find a link here on the screen. I'll meet you over there. Until next time, I'm Mike Bracken, aka the Horror Geek, bringing you all the splatter that matters.